you, everybody. We're starting a little bit late because I just got here from We'll Play It Live, where we played Endless Winter for the first time. And before I head off all the questions on Endless Winter, I will tell you what I think when we review it. So, all right. Wow, what a weekend it was. Oh, man, I bounced all over the place playing games. I was at home with my family, from Trudvang to Caverna to party games. It was just kind of a weird... If ever there was a weekend to prove to me I was an Omni gamer, this was a weekend of that. You know, this is one of those times of the year where we feel stressed in a sense, but also like, you know, the feeling I have is kind of when my grandma took me to a candy store and gave me $5, said, you get anything you want. You're like, I only have $5, but I can get anything I want. But I only have $5. But man, I can get a lot with $5, but not everything I want. And it was just like, it was excitement and joy and stress. And that's how we feel coming back from the Spiel fair from Essen, because we have 100+ exciting games to play, but our currency is time, and we can't play them all, and yet everyone's shouting, you should play that one, you should play that one, you should play that one. And then there's also games that maybe aren't so exciting, and we want to play those too, because I want to give the full gamut. So, yes, it's complaining about having too much stuff, but we'll get games played as we can. So anywho, so that's one thing to keep in mind, I guess, if we're playing games. My luggage has still not shown up from Germany. I'm very nervous about it now because as of today, if it doesn't show up on the flight that arrives today, then it will be over a week late. And there's a lot of stuff in that luggage. The games I would like to get, but the hats I'm most concerned about. And also the, you know, again, everyone laughs about me and my hats, but these hats, you know, I don't buy that many hats. Yes, I have a lot of hats, but it's been bought over the course of years, and they're not inexpensive. And I have a pair of glasses in there. Essentially, the suitcase is probably worth $1,000, and I would hate to lose that. Also, all that time. But anyhow, let's answer your questions here. Let's go through. Let's see here. Oh, I still have We'll Play It Live in the background. Wow, whatever. I don't care. What's the most awkward big game box size in your opinion? Actually, my least favorite box size is probably the big square boxes that are like this big and square. They don't fit anywhere. They don't fit on the shelf. Like at least a long box you can put on a long shelf and turn it sideways. But the big square one where it sticks out, those are probably the worst ones. Or tubes. And do I think it's getting out of control? A bit. I think it's ridiculously out of control at this point. It's almost bragging rights, like we made the biggest box ever. I don't care. I mean, I remember getting really excited when I first got into modern gaming back in the days when I got the Twilight Imperium 3rd edition. When that showed up, I remember, or the first coffin-sized box was Descent that I remember getting, and just wow, this box was full of stuff that was amazing, but it felt like kind of an annual event. Now it feels like, what's the big box from this week? Yeah, we'll see. Is there a top 10 for games with a huge toy factor? We might do that at some point. Am I caffeinated? Not at the moment, actually. I'll eat lunch right after this. Of course, I don't think I'll have any caffeine then. I had some caffeine early in the morning, and that's usually it for the day. Tom, I wonder if you received the Bullseye California Reaper and Black Garlic Hot Sauce I sent you. I don't know. Wouldn't we have opened them up live here on the channel? I don't remember getting those. I mean, I might have. I don't want to be wrong about that. But I would open them up live unless they came in the weeks where I wasn't opening things up live. I'll check at home and see. I feel like I would remember those, though. Will we get a Halloween werewolf game this year? We'll see. You can bug me about it or not. How many hats do you own, said people? Well, I don't know. I have fedoras. Actually, I could go count them now because we have a wall of fedoras here. Although that wall, there's 5, 6, 7 of, I think there's 7 in that. Oh man, I wore one home. I got 2 very nice new shiny ones when I was in Vegas. All right, well, it is what it is. It is what it is. Do you have any tips for packing games in suitcases? You know, for me, if you want to be able to keep them closed because they will open and spill out. Those box bands we have are fantastic. I find that unless I'm absolutely desperate, I try not to open games when I take them in a suitcase, leave them still in the shrink because that keeps them together very nicely. It also helps protect them and everything if you're buying new games. Other than that, I don't really have any particular tips. I always put clothes around them. And again, that's kind of the thing that's bugging me about this because I don't have a ton of clothes. I have a lot of ties. And my 5 favorite ties, probably in the world, are in that suitcase too. You know, but also my shirt and pants, a pair of my suspenders. It's like, it feels like half my clothing is, well. Anyway, I don't want to get, it is what it is. If it's lost, it's lost, but, all right. It's a lot of money. And again, the airline might reimburse me, but that's going to be a process. And they go through that process and then do this and that and just, it's okay. Oh, let's talk about positive things. Let's see here. What game would you like most to compete in? People keep asking me that. I will not compete. I don't want to compete. I've refused offers to compete. I don't like competing in games. And what game should be added in 2024? Well, let's get through 2023 first. I'm actually currently, consulted for the games that they add each year. What's your excitement level for Wakanda Forever? I'm excited about it. I don't know if I'm like uber excited about it, but don't take that because I'm not necessarily uber excited about any movie or TV show. Can we have an update for the new studio, please? We actually did an update for that last week. I think Camilla posted a video. The carpet is in there. Now, unfortunately, we're slowed down again because we need to build the background, which is going to take a while, and order equipment and lighting and all that stuff. So the background needs to be done first. We're kind of on a step-by-step process. So as soon as the background is done, then we're going to get a couch and some chairs, and then we're going to get lights in there and cameras. It could be up and running in a couple months. You gave Founding of Rome about an 8 out of 10. Do you still think it's worth 8 out of 10, or do you agree with Chris being a 3 out of 10 due to how super unwieldy it is to play? Founding of Rome. I think you mean Foundations of Rome. And Foundations of Rome I gave a 9 to, and Chris gave like a 6 to. I think. He might have given it a 5, but I think he gave it a 6. Because I think he said he liked the game. Do I still think it's an 8 out of a 9 out? You might have to clarify, because yes, I still think so. I don't know why I would have changed my mind from the last time we just reviewed it. I wouldn't suddenly agree with Chris, I guess. I mean, I guess my mind can change. I don't know. Alrighty, let's see here. Wasn't Endless Winter in the missing suitcase? No. I'm going to have to sit down. It's my own fault. I should have taken a picture of what was in each suitcase, but for some reason, I just know it was a bunch of hot games because it was the first suitcase we packed. So I know that I'm pretty sure using process of elimination that a game from yeah, my mind just went blank. But I think I know a couple of the games that were in there. Let's see. What are your favorite pasta meals? A good lasagna is probably my favorite of all the pasta meals. Especially, and I know this is heresy to most people in the world, especially if it's made without ricotta cheese. Now, that doesn't mean I don't like ricotta cheese. Ricotta cheese is fine. I just find that a lot of lasagnas depends so much on ricotta cheese. And I love mozzarella cheese, and I'd rather have a ton of mozzarella cheese in there with a little ricotta cheese, or just have a ton of mozzarella with no ricotta cheese. So that's probably my favorite. Second would be spaghetti pie, which, just look up the recipes on the internet, is absolutely delicious. Then I guess stuffed shells. You can see there's kind of a pattern here. If you're taking out that kind of pasta, baked ziti is pretty good. Angel hair with red sauce. I'm a big red sauce guy. My kids are not that way. They're all white sauce all the way. Alfredo across the board with my kids. But I like red sauce. I like oil, sometimes oil and some spices. And man, I just like pasta in general. I love pasta all around. My game group is suffering a bit, I think, with all the big recent games. Are there not enough good little games recently? I think there is. I think they just get lost in the crowd. I mean, Z and Mike and even I, we're reviewing little games all the time, but you probably just don't even see them. You don't even think about them. Let's see here. Do you pick to play certain games with certain of your children? Yes. Like, can you tell if one is more Euro-leaning and one is more dexterity and such? Yes. I always tailor my games to some degree, unless we're playtesting something. But I know what all my kids like. Liam Neeson in the Naked Gun reboot. Oh, that's interesting. I could see him doing that. He can do that, not knowing what's going on, pretty well. I'm trying to think what I've seen him in that he does that in, but I think he could pull it off. Let's see here. How many suitcases did you bring home from Essen? I personally brought home 3. And I got 2 of them. And then as a dice tower, everyone had their own suitcase who came back, but we also brought back an extra 4 boxes of games. Was it 4 or 5? It was, I think, 4. 4 boxes of games that were essentially suitcases. Do you feel like each year blends into the next and the years pass quickly? I feel this year has flown by. Yeah, sort of. That's how it feels in retrospect, but years do feel very distinct to me because so many different things happen in years. This is the year that this kid went to college. This is the year that this kid was born. This is the year we did this on the dice tower. If you're mathematically eliminated from a game, do you try to get the best score possible? Yes. Or do you sabotage a player who wronged you early in the game? Best score possible. Now people are talking about lasagna. In Italy, it's more common to have mozzarella and lasagna. I think maybe I'm trying to figure out why people use ricotta cheese so much. I think maybe because it's cheaper. So you just had quite a hectic time travel convention-wise. How long do you get to rest until the next for you packing and traveling? The next packing and traveling will be PAX Unplugged, so that will not be too bad. Because once PAX Unplugged is over, we'll do the Winter Spectacular, and then we're taking a week off. And I was just telling somebody, because I was telling Eric Summer actually, that is my 1 week a year where I truly take some time off. I take a days here and there, but I will take a week off and do nothing and probably not play many games. I play games, but you know, what can I do about that? Let's see here. You know, people are saying, like, you're saying too many big games nowadays. I really don't think so. I think you're just not looking for the small games. The small games are definitely being released. There's a lot of them. Go look at my Big Giant Essen unboxing. A lot of small games in there. Any recommendations for some good alternative chili recipes like white chicken chili? Looking for something different to try. I don't know. I always look online. I think we're so blessed. You know, I think we yell a lot about the internet, right? The internet causes social media. Things are bad on the internet. Blah blah blah. And a lot of that is true. But the fact that we have things like I never need to buy a cookbook again, because you can just search for recipes. Those recipes then are ranked by stars. You can go through them. There's YouTube videos where they show you how to do things. It's awesome. I remember Jen kind of reminded people not to run, but I saw people running through the halls at Essen. Does that create problems? I don't know. I was at my booth every time the hall opened, so I can't answer that. I'm from Allentown too. What high school did you go to? I was homeschooled for high school, so I went to the Vasel School of Hard Knocks. Why did you bring the Essen stuff via plane this year? The other years you shipped them, didn't you? Well, sure, but we made the call. We didn't have enough stuff for like a pallet of games. And last year, 2019, when we shipped everything, we lost a box in the mail. We weren't too happy with that. And they also took a very long time, and they got really beat up. So we figured it's pretty much the same price to just drag them on the plane. So that's what we did. Who wins more games among the crew? Well, Chris and Roy are in top tier for that, for sure. And the rest of us, it's probably a wash. I'm probably in the bottom. I probably win the fewest games, but that's fine. Can you ever buy too many expansions for a game? Yes, I think that happens especially in Kickstarters, because I think I very rarely buy the expansions in a Kickstarter now. I don't, if I'm backing a Kickstarter, because I want to know if the game is good first. It just seems weird to me to be buying a bunch of expansions for a game if I'm not even sure if it's good or not. Do you ever concede in a two-player game if it just feels hopeless? I conceded in After the Empire, says Spunks44. As soon as I got sacked and was so far behind. As long as your opponent's fair with it, I think that's okay. I think that's reasonable. Now, sometimes your opponent wants to do something cool, and your conceding doesn't let them do that cool thing, so keep that in mind. But if it's kind of a push and pull style game, it might be better for you to just concede. When coming back from a con, do you sometimes leave clothes behind in order to make place for a game? No. Would you consider leaving a hat behind to bring back the best game ever? No, I would never do that. A hat is character. That's a hat. I like my hats. You can get a game somewhere else. Are you guys hosting a show at PAX Unplugged this year? You know, I don't know. I need to follow up on that, actually. Tim, you're very cool. Well, obviously not cool enough to have the name Tom. But do you think other big box campaign games should go Steam like Gloomhaven did? Lots of games have gone Steam, I think. I don't know. Gloomhaven's the only one I really know about. I've been playing Horizon Forbidden West. You ever get around to it? You know, I started playing it, and I got pretty far in it, and then Elden Ring came out, and I really got delved up in Elden Ring. And then when Elden Ring was done, I jumped into Tiny Tina Tiny Tina Wonderlands. And then I haven't played the PS5 for a really long time, actually. So if I go back, Forbidden West is probably the one I'm going to play again, but it's going to take me a bit to remember where I was in it. What are some things you like to do at PAX not related to the con itself? Well, definitely I like to eat at PAX. I really like the food in the Philadelphia area, the cheesesteaks and the broccoli rabe / pork, such a good combo, and the Chinese section there in Philadelphia. All that stuff is fantastic. And I like to sightsee around Philadelphia. What do you think about artificial funding goals for Kickstarter GameFound? Kingdom Come Deliverance was pulled because of this. Kingdom Come Deliverance, let me look that one up real quick so I kind of see what we're talking about. Deliverance. Kingdom Come Deliverance. The board game. It was GameFound. Okay. And they were up to 318 out of 100,000. And their update said this. Let's read their update. Okay, so this is the last update of the campaign. I remember reading this now. They said, First and foremost, we need to acknowledge that even though the funding goal has been met, it does not meet the realistic cost of the project. Bluntly speaking, we did not have the confidence to showcase the real goal of 1.5 million euros in a crowdfunding world where funding in XY minutes is a regular highlight. In the overall mix of other unfortunate events, this leads not to the cancellation of the project, but also of the company, Boardcubator as a whole. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, initially, I'm really opposed to it. I'm really opposed to you not saying what your project is. That really bugs me, and I get pretty irritated every time a project that clearly has fully funded or doubly funded or triply funded or whatever says, oh, sorry, we lied. Because that's what you did. You lied. Now, you can say that's the way Kickstarter is. You have to put a lower funding goal. You have to do this or that. But you are saying if we reach this funding goal, the project will happen. And yes, Kickstarter has made it so that it's really important to fund on day one or day two or whatever. And it's really important to have this and that and to be able to say fund it next minutes, apparently. But you're still lying. And that's what I have a hard time with that. On a Dice Tower project, I put a certain number that we need each year. That is the number we need. Now, yes, we may have to, like, if that was all we got, we may have to, squint and squeeze and cut things, and maybe we're not going to all the conventions and things like that. But I'm not lying to you. And I really think it's important at the Dice Tower that we speak the truth. And I don't know. I mean, again, you can say, well, that's just how Kickstarter is. But I guess if you said our goal is 100,000, but folks, we really need 1.5 or it's not going to happen, that would be fine, because you're saying according to the Kickstarter demands, we're saying this is how much we need. But we all know that we actually need more. But it just feels like I don't know. Yes, I know there's a lot more involved in it, and I've talked to publishers about this, and I think I'm in the minority on my opinions on this, at least from a business perspective. I know that a lot of backers agree with me, but then the argument could be made that backers don't really understand everything behind it. But I tell you what, it bothers me on a personal level, because you can say that's how the business world works. I don't want to be part of that, so I don't know. I just packed my quiver. For folks who don't know, a quiver is a bag that holds a bunch of small card games. They're so easy to buy, but it feels like they cost nothing when you've been eyeing Tainted Grail or Death May Die. Sure. And I don't think small games take the place of big games for sure. I think a big game has just an oomph feel to it. But small games are fine, and I also like carrying some of them around. What book are you reading now, which is not a rule book? I don't know. Because I just finished a book yesterday, so I don't have a book I'm reading right now. I'm looking for one. I read, someone recommended to me a series which I really liked. The series was, hang on, I forget the name of it. The series was Mother of Learning, which the first 3 books are on Kindle. Then there was not a 4th book, but I went and found that the person who wrote it actually wrote it online, and I read it on a very annoying website. I read the rest of it there. Mother of Learning is basically Groundhog Day, but in a D&D universe, and I really liked it because it's a month, and the guy who's in it's a magician and or a wizard, and realizes go back, and he's like, I need to get better and stronger. So he tries to use his time very usefully. There's a couple of oddities to it. There is some things, and there's going to be the slightest of spoilers here. I think it's probably 25% longer than it needs to be. I think that the author could have sped things up, especially in book 2. Probably. I would have sped things up. Book 4, things really steamroll fast. Book 1 is very interesting. There's a major shift in book 2 on how things work. And then book 3, I was like, things don't end. That's the thing. Because it was written as a web series, there's no dramatic ending to book 1 or book 2. There's also some, I'm trying not to spoil too much. There's also some major reveals, which I was not particularly, I guess that's fine. Not everything has to be like a what moment. And there was a lot of unresolved stuff. So normally I don't want a book to get caught up in romance, right? I thought this book could have used a little bit of it. He like sideswipes it much. And there's definitely a lot of the book is spent on family stuff, and it's a big part of the book. And yet it doesn't feel like that was even remotely resolved or explored at the end. It kept, each time I read it, and they read some more about some family stuff, I was like, wow, they're really going to, this is interesting, because he's realizing as time goes by that maybe he has some problems. And the main character is very flawed, doesn't realize it. He's an unreliable narrator. But I find that interesting, but it didn't feel like that had a good solution for me at all. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. Anyway, when I finished reading that, I just quick reread the Magician's trilogy. I don't know why, I just felt like reading it. So now I'm looking for a new series, I think, to jump into. Anyhow, did any other kids steal your lunch money in high school? No. It's a joke being homeschooled, by the way. Got it. Let's see here. Ooh, favorite Arc Nova Zoo map boards? I don't know, actually. I play on the basic ones so much, so I'm happy to play on any of the other ones right now. On BGG, there's a recommended players for each game. Do you follow it very closely when doing a play for a more fair review? Sometimes 4 players will tarnish your game review versus 3 players in the same game. Well, first of all, I don't care what BGG says. I care what the box says. If the box says it should play with 4 players, then it should play with 4 players. That being said, this doesn't really affect me much, because usually when we review a game, that information isn't very gelled up yet, because we have the game so early. Contest, says Mike Heller. That's correct. Let's have a contest. Na-na-na-na. Na-na-na-na-na. So the contest will be... Dum-ba-dum-ba-dum. Let's see here. Wait, I'm in the wrong contest thing. I need to pull up the contest document so I know. So while I'm looking up this contest document, this is for Game Nerds. And this is for a $10 gift certificate for Game Nerds. Fantastic website, by the way. Game Nerds every day at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time has a great deal of the day, and people go and they buy it, and it's fantastic. They have great games there. All these games we're talking about that came out at Essen will be eventually showing up there, and you'll want to get them for good prices. So you can get a $10 gift certificate for them if you email us at contest@dicetower.com, and you put in the subject line Mulligan. Mulligan. In the body, you need to give us your address. Don't know if that matters for a gift certificate, but hey, put your address in there anyway. You never know. And put, answer the question, how often do you use a mulligan in a board game? Like, do you allow mulligans ever? All right, back to questions. That's our contest. Game Nerds, thanks. Do you think Dice Tower will go back to UK Games Expo? Well, we'll have to wait and see. But I did stop by UK Games Expo booth at Essen and talk to them, so we will find out. I'm not promising anything. I'm not teasing anything. I'm just saying I'm considering it. What fictional character has the best hat? The man in the yellow hat from Curious George or Indiana Jones. Do you have any Lego sets? No, I don't have Lego sets. I think they're interesting. And Michael said you're building a winter village, and it's a ton of fun to buy the new one each year. And that's great if you have that like displayed somewhere. I think that's a cool idea. I found with Lego sets, they're neat, and I don't mind building them. They're fun for me and my son. But when it's done, I want to play with it. So if I'm going to play with any, it'll be like the castle one. And my son does not particularly like to play with toys. I thought I would have a son who would be like, G.I. Joes and Transformers, and nope, he's not interested in that stuff at all. He's interested in math and drawing and things like that. And that's fine, and puzzles and things. So he likes putting Lego sets together, but then we're done, and I feel like I wasted a lot of money on a very, very expensive puzzle when I'd rather just buy some cheaper puzzles and do those. What would it take to get a job at the Dice Tower? Well, you'd have to wait till we offer one, which we're not currently. Maybe someday we'll hire again. When that happens, I put out the announcements, I take resumes, and we go through it just like a normal job hiring thing. I don't take people just emailing me and asking for a job because the Dice Tower does not have a ton of money, so we're not constantly hiring. Do you think it's justifiable for backers to be frustrated if the back game sold at cons before them receiving the game? Possibly. In this case, though, if the company did not promise you that you were getting your games first, I don't think that's a problem, especially when it's really close. If they're like, you're going to get your game in a couple weeks, a month, even 2 months. Because that company has that booth. They need to make money back. They have some games in stock. Why would they not sell them? It feels like you're telling them, please lose money because of us. I get it. Some companies sell there and don't care. There's always the bad eggs of companies. But for the most part, I don't find it to be too problematic. Will you give the new Breath of the Wild a go next spring? I think so, actually. If you are ever in need for finance, you can auction away your hats. Well, first of all, if I'm auctioning hats, we're in bigger problems than that. Secondly, my hats are my suitcase. Well, not this one, or some other ones. Have you ever tried VR board games? I think I mess with it a little bit, but I don't know. VR is okay. I played a VR video game, which was kind of fun, and I would play one. I did a VR of a Star Wars thing at Disney Springs, and that was neat. But for the most part, I'm very happy to play in real life with other people. I don't think VR necessarily is a bad thing. It just doesn't attract me as much. Do you think HasLab has set the bar too high to fund HeroScape? Well, no. I mean, again, they're putting up an actual funding goal. So, who knows? It might work. I mean, they still got plenty of time left. I don't know. Where do you draw the line with tabletop war miniature games versus board games? A lot of mini board games coming out seem to be boring the line and are close to board games. Do you see Dice Tower covering those more? Well, if you could give me some actual things there. Most of the time, if there's no board, I'm out. Which I mean is, if you have to measure to move, I'm not nearly as interested. I sometimes break those rules because I can do what I want. You know, I can review any miniature game I want, but I'm not usually interested when when the rule books are huge and it's all about building armies and moving around the board. Stuff actually I could get into any of those and have a good time. I just can't get into them because of time. Was there ever a point in your career in board gaming where you thought about quitting it and going back to a normal job, like going back to teaching? I've thought about the possibility of that happening to me someday, but I never wanted to do it, if that's what you mean. All right, people are starting to throw some ideas at me. It's usually best if you email me with a link to the Amazon page for the Kindle point to it, if you really want me to read a series, because that's how I can look at it and see if I want to read it or not. I don't promise to read any series you send me, but you never know. I'm always looking. If I had to choose between playing a game you really love or eating key lime pie, it all depends on how hungry I am. If I'm hungry, I'm eating a key lime pie. If I'm not hungry, I'm playing the game. Harkening back to players who break a game on purpose, how do you feel about Ticket to Ride players who place blocking over actual route completion? Is it a valid strategy to win or just annoying to others? It's a valid strategy to win only in the base game and only if players play a specific way. It's not that great of a strategy, so I don't consider that breaking the game. What is my perfect meal from entree to dessert? Well, for the I would open with some shrimp angels, or shrimp with prosciutto on them, which is godlike delicious. And then shrimp with Shrimp and scallops and key lime with rice is so good. I think I might make that my meal. And I can get both those at the same place. And then, for dessert dough, either key lime pie or key lime empanadas. Let's see here. What education, work, experience helps someone get a job in the board game industry as a designer, reviewer, or publisher? Can't speak for publisher. But for designer or reviewer, I don't think anything matters there. For a reviewer, I mean, I guess if you have a job that lets you talk well and talk clearly and say things, I think that helps. But other than that, I'm not particularly, I don't think any job matters. We're looking for people who work hard and do a good job. Did you have more fun doing the worst covers or best covers? I had more fun doing the worst covers, but I enjoyed the best covers because I think we're bringing good games to light. I had fun with both of them. I like doing that a lot, so you will see us do that again in the future, although coming up with ideas as to what to do. I have some thoughts. Actually, I have a very, very interesting idea that we're going to do, and we'll see how it works. We'll see. I have a thought on that one. Am I going to try the new Ghost Pepper Whopper from Burger King? No. I'm on salads currently, so no. Is there an A to Z of the Dice Tower library? Yeah, if you go to boardgameevents.com and you click on one of our events, Dice Tower East, Dice Tower Retreat, or Dice Tower Cruise, you can see the library there. Oh yeah, we'll definitely be doing the prettiest and ugliest game boards at some point. Ugly boards versus beautiful boards. Yeah, that would be fun. The contest question isn't in the video description. If we already answered without answering that, should we send another email answering that or not? No, you're probably fine, but you should always wait till I say something. How comes Dice Tower Retreat doesn't have shirts like Dice Tower Cruise? Because Dice Tower Retreat costs less than Dice Tower Cruise. So I can't just give out free t-shirts. T-shirts cost money. And I'm trying to pay my employees and their families here. So I have to be cautious on what to do. Now, I might do Dice Tower Retreat shirts that you can pay for extra and buy. That's something we're considering doing for next year. But I would have to see how many people were even interested in that. I just can't give out shirts. I mean, it's not me giving. Basically, you're saying, can you give us, I don't know, it's a lot of money. Jeff says, I saved on my Legos thinking my future child would love them. I was wrong. I feel like Minecraft and other builder games have superseded Legos for the most part. It depends what kids. Some kids really do like Legos, but you're right. My son loves Minecraft. What are some games you want to play again, but Dice Tower Crew just has no interest in it? That doesn't matter to me. I don't care. If I want to play a game and the crew here does not want to play the game, I'll find someone else to play it with. They're not the only people in the world who play games, so I can find other people. I'm part of a chili cook-off team this weekend. What is the most important ingredient characteristics that a chili you love has to have? No idea. It does taste good. I have no opinion on that one. What is key lime pie? Okay, so key lime pie is made from key limes. They're very small limes, about this size here, and they look quite a bit different than a lime. And then the pie itself, the best way to describe it is if you've ever had cheesecake, it's similar to cheesecake in its consistency. It's very, very sweet, very, very rich. You usually don't eat more than one piece of it. I mean, it's very, very sweet. But that's what key lime pie is. It's mostly sold in fancier restaurants in America. It's sold in grocery stores. There's a company called Sara Lee who makes an okay version of it, which I'll never eat again. But that's the only version of it I ever used to have, and I thought it was fine. It's the one thing I'm a little snobby on. But the best place to get it are definitely down here in Florida, up and down the coast, and most especially in the Keys. If you are ever in Key Largo, Key West, or any of the other keys in between, and you have a chance to eat key lime at a restaurant there, you won't go wrong. They're all amazing. There might be orders of degrees on how amazing they are, but it's not that far apart. Also, key lime pie should look very yellow. Key limes do not look green. Green is fake food coloring. Do you think anyone from the Dice Tower will be going to Board Game Geek Con this year? I do not believe so. Sorry. I don't have any space in our schedule for it. We're already all pretty exhausted. Any disappointing games from Essen? Well, maybe. We'll have to play them and see. Lacrimosa? We just put our review of that up yesterday. When visiting other countries, do you like to visit board game shops? You don't even need to say when visiting other countries. Just when visiting. Yes, I like to visit board game shops. I do that all the time. Do you have a favorite board game cafe? So far, my favorite I've been to has been Snakes and Lattes in Toronto, the main store. I like all of them, but the main store is my favorite. What are your thoughts on Dark Souls, the board game, getting revamped rules? I have no idea. I haven't heard of this. Maybe it is. What are your top 10 dice faces? I don't know. I love salads. You can spruce up a plain salad with a can of tuna fish. Well, maybe. But better than that, you can spruce up a salad. The best way to spruce up a salad healthily is to take a chicken breast, chop it up, and throw it in. That's so much better than tuna. I'm just happy that there's a Dice Tower, especially in the current crazy world. It's very nice of you to say, but I don't think we do that much. But we'd like to talk about games. Good afternoon from England. Tom, a friend of mine recently brought me Brass Birmingham. I saw your review and saw you didn't like it. I wondered if you tried it again since and changed your opinion. I did not. I'm always curious. I'm like, so what we can see on this whenever you get a thumbs down, I'm always curious, like, what did I just say? I'm like thinking back. I don't think it's anything controversial, but you never know. Maybe the person that doesn't like the way I talked about key lime pie. Let's see here. Now, this person said they bought a Lego blanket for Monica says they bought a Lego blanket for their niece and nephew, only to find out they don't play with Legos. Sure, but even though a lot of people don't play with Legos, they still know about Legos because of the cartoons and movies. We might do the retreat shirts, but we have to. There's always a minimum to how many shirts you get made and stuff. But like I said, we'll come back to that. Beans or no beans in chili? Sure, I'm good either way, actually. Let's see here. Oh, a must-have ingredient for key lime for me is a graham cracker crust. Yes, they almost always have a graham cracker crust. Let's see here. Going through looking at the questions. Do you think a pool table is reasonably a substitute for a board game table, given that I really want both? No, I don't. There's two reasons why. One is if you're pedantic at all about pool and you need to balance that table perfectly, playing games all the time seems like that might mess it up. I don't know, but it feels like it might. Secondly, it's just too wide. It's way too wide. You ever see pool players? They're like leaning across the table to get that perfect shot. It's because the table's really wide. And so it wouldn't be good for board games. This table here, I think, is a pretty wide table that I'm sitting at, and it is not as wide as a pool table. Also, pool tables are high. I don't know that you could even sit at them. Aren't they like here? It would be pretty high. And if you brought it down low to table level, then it would feel like you're really low for playing pool. I don't think you should combine them at all. Let's see here. top 3 animal habitats at a zoo. I like going into the aviary. I just think it's cool to walk into one of those and then just see birds flying all around you like you were in the zoo. That is, and butterflies. I like those spots too. I like just where there's butterflies all over the place and they're landing on you. The birds that come and, like, if they give you like nectar and stuff to give the birds and the birds come and land on your hat and stuff, love those places. So those would be 2 of my top 3. The other habitat I like the best, I like when you can see the above and below of the same animal. So like prairie dogs, where you like can see the prairie dogs coming out, and then you go underneath and you see the place where they live underneath. I think that's pretty cool. Are you prepared to break the internet when your merch goes live? I don't think that will happen, but it is a nice way to help support the Dice Tower. Our merchandise for the Dice Tower goes live on Thursday. Let's see here. What did I think of the Iron Maiden CMON announcement? So for those of you who don't know, they made an announcement that the Iron Maiden character thingamabob is going to come out in multiple versions for multiple games. Anything from Rising Sun to the zombie sides, etc. It makes sense, I guess, from a thematic purpose. And my thinking, and I saw the whole thing, and I was like, huh, that was basically my opinion on it. It's interesting. I might stick them in if I got them, but I'm not also buying them either. All right, let's see. Do you prefer improving in a game by osmosis or by analyzing? Usually by osmosis. I just kind of play it and go, that's an interesting idea. Ooh. But I will say I will sit and think about games I played from time to time. I try not to ever read strategy, because for me, that feels a little bit like cheating, like, oh, I'm just trying to figure out the game on my own. But, yeah. Favorite zoos? I haven't been to that many zoos. Let me see. I'll tell you all the zoos I've been to. I've been to the Philadelphia Zoo, because that's the zoo I was near as a child. But it's also been 30 years since I've been to the Philadelphia Zoo. So if I've been to the Philadelphia Zoo, I've been to the Indianapolis Zoo, I've been to the Miami Zoo, I've been to the zoo in D.C., I've been to a zoo in Phuket, Thailand, I've been to a zoo in... Did I go to a zoo in Vietnam? No, I didn't. I've been to like 4 zoos in Korea. Did I go to a zoo anywhere else? I went to a zoo in Malaysia. Where else did I go to a zoo? Yeah, those would be the zoos I've been to. I haven't been to that many zoos in America, obviously. I just don't have a chance to go to zoos very often. I like zoos. I'll go to a zoo if I have a chance to go to one half the time. I like zoos. So I won't even pretend. I like the Miami Zoo is my favorite zoo I've been to, but I'm sure I've heard great things about San Diego and the Bronx Zoo, and I've heard good things about these zoos. I've just never been to one. Are you tired of all the nature-themed games yet? I'm ready for zombies again. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. What got you into wearing hats? I don't know. I've always wanted to wear a hat. When I was a kid, finding a hat like this, the only way I could afford one was if it was at the thrift store. And they were almost never there, and I have a big head. And so I hunted hats down in Korea, but my head was also too big there. So only recently have I been able to wear them with any kind of regularity. Baseball caps I've always liked too, and I wear a lot of baseball caps. You just don't see me wearing them on video very much. News about Chief Sokotoa. Chief Sokotoa is about to do fine. I believe... Well, I think he's engaged. He hasn't told me yet, but I suspect it. Because the last time, he went on the same mission with the same woman like 4 different times. And that does not happen very often. I don't know her name yet because I only got it through a 4-way scrambler. And then it was Zen Vada going backwards. And black and white. It was just a mess. So I don't know what her name is, but I just know that it was the same person because the code was the exact same. After a while, when you have to cross your eyes, invert backwards, and do the fuba. And if you do all that stuff, you can quickly recognize things. You can't necessarily read them, but you can tell they're the same. Sorry, I'm diversifying. But anyway, they seem to have and you know, sometimes missions are dangerous, but if you like danger, that's kind of a positive for him. So I don't know. He was married once before. It was a very it's kind of like a sad story actually. It was a long time ago. It was before I even met him, and I think it's actually what got him into the agency, just because I don't even really know all the details. He only talked about one time, one night we were on a stakeout in the Vajam system. This is four parsecs over, and it was just one of those nights. And I'm not even going to divulge a lot of it because I think a lot of it's personal and all, but I did know something happened there, and I know that it grounded him. So anyhow, that is my suspicion. I feel that because he did say he would had something to tell me, so I feel like that's what's going to happen. And when I know, y'all know. All right. Now everyone's telling me about their great zoos. I'll read strategy if I'm coming into a game with experienced players who want everyone to be on a certain level, but otherwise I'm with you on watching strategy videos. Sure, and I'm saying that's just me. I have no problem with other people reading up on strategy. I don't mind that. I do think it's weird when people read up on strategy for a new game, and I'm about to play a game and someone's like, bum, bum, bum. They're like, oh, I heard the strategy was this. And I'm like, come on now, we're all learning together. Lots of people are telling me about zoos. Hop says, am I Christian? He wants to know if I'm a Christian too. I am. More zoos. How is Jimmy doing? He's doing well. What games and things is he enjoying doing currently? Well, he played a couple party games with me over the weekend. We did a few things. With Jimmy, I'm actually doing a lot. I'm working with math on him. So he's 8 years old in 3rd grade. He is not particularly good at many of the things that he's behind on, spelling and grammar and all kinds of things. But he's not behind on math. And so, like any good parent, I want to well-round his education by working with him on math. So, no, my wife helps him with the things he has a problem with. I'm like, you're good at math. Let's do more math. So I'm currently working on just like I'm teaching him how to cube numbers, like how to cube 17 in your head, or following sequences of numbers, just different things. But mostly I'm working with him right now. We're practicing multiplying double digits in your head, like what's 22 times 14? You should be able to do that in your head, or to some degree in your head. So I'm working on that, which look, I mean, he definitely is not the most athletic kid in his class. He's not going to be the best at reading or things like that, but he's going to be the best at something. So he's going to be the best at math, because I don't think most 3rd graders are learning their 14s times tables. So there is that. But yeah, so that's, sorry, I'm a nerd, I guess, in that regard. Butterfly World, I've never been there because it's a little far up on the route to from Miami, but I do want to go there at some point. Zoo Tycoon Kickstarter coming soon. Gonna be the Ark Nova killer. All right, maybe. I don't think it will be the Ark Nova killer. Have I watched the Alfred Pennyworth Pennyworth series? It's a prequel for V for Vendetta as well as Batman. I don't know. I'm not that interested in it because it's just a cool series. I don't know how it matters that it's Alfred Pennyworth. I think Alfred Pennyworth is a great character in Batman, but his backstory, they could name the guy, James Bond, Jim Jones, whoever. It's the same thing as a young man. I don't see how that changes the fact that he's then Batman's butler in the future. But they'll do something in it. They'll have him run across someone who will eventually be the Joker's grandfather or something, and I'm not as interested in. I'm not saying I won't watch a show. Maybe I will, but meh. Where do you suppose "Let's see here" came from? Was it something your folks would say, or does it come from something else? I think I'm going, let's see here. I don't think that comes for anything. I'm talking about it. All right, math is useful, say many peoples. I agree. I agree. How much are you currently working on the next Kickstarter? A decent amount, actually. Now, don't get me wrong. We're working on the last year's Kickstarter. On Friday, the staff spent a good chunk of Friday sorting out a promo pack. We have 3 promo packs done. We have 2 left to do. One of them is already set up there, ready to go. We're going to start packing that one. Yeah, so we'll have more information for you all on these soon. How does the homeschooling work? Can you decide what to teach? Well, homeschooling, again, you guys sure you can, but we follow a curriculum. We pick a curriculum, we get that curriculum and we follow it. Now, I, as a dad, will sometimes come in and go, that's stupid, you don't need to know that, or hey, you need to know this in addition to whatever. But that's very rare that I do that. But every once in a while, I'll come in, I'll be like for example, as a math person, I love math, but long division is a complete waste of your time. It really is. These people, what's 586 divided by, what's 987,764,322 divided by 586? Who cares? That's what calculators were made for. Can you estimate it? Yes. But to do the long division, knowing how to do it's important. You teach you how to do it once, but I think we put too much emphasis on that. We put too much emphasis sometimes on a lot of things that we do use calculators for. Like, I don't care if you can look up a sine or cosine chart. The calculator has a sine and cosine button. It's knowing how to do math and basic math. That's where you need to know basic math in your heads. Like, I have no tolerance. Any of my kids, if I say 8 times 7, they need to say 56 in a second. There should be no hesitation. You need to know your times tables because it's so useful. You need to be able, when you go grocery shopping, to be able to add up all the costs of the things you're buying in your head to some degree. So when you get to the counter, you're not surprised. If you can't do that, then use a calculator. But you need to be able to budget. You need to be able to know stats. You need to be able to estimate things. I think math there's a lot of important math. I'm getting off topic, sorry. I like math. If you like aquatic animals, a National Aquarium in Baltimore here is amazing. Sure, and I mean, if I'm sorry, I didn't even count aquatic stuff as zoos, because there's a great, the second best aquarium I've ever been to is in Busan, South Korea. It was an amazing aquarium. And the best aquarium I've been to is SeaWorld in Orlando. I just really think that's great. I'm sure there might be better ones. There's a really good aquarium in Seoul. There's cool aquariums everywhere, but I'm sure, and I know there's a really good one I went to one in Delaware one time that was fantastic, and Atlanta's fantastic, but I'm sure the Baltimore one's amazing too. But just as a heads up, the one I think the one in SeaWorld is really good. What do you do to keep fit and healthy, says Richard, aggressively. Not aggressively, I guess. I try to eat healthy and I walk a lot. And I need to do both of those more. Tom is not healthy, haha, says Wafer Juice. You're correct. That's why I'm about to eat a salad for lunch and go walking today. When you give a poor review, do you ever hear from the publisher or designers? Often. Often, I do, yes. Let me look. Am I missing Germany right now? Not particularly. I really like living here in Miami. I like Miami a lot. A lot of people say they don't like math. And I get that. I get that people don't like math because you can't like something you don't like. But you should attempt it anyway. I'm really boggled, though, when I meet people who don't like to read. Reading is so fantastic. It's so good for you to read. What you read is up to you. There's things, biographies to novels to nonfiction works to philosophy to whatever. There's so much to read out there, but reading is good for you. So I'd fail as a kid in a Vasel household. No. My son likes math, so I am enhancing that with him because that's what he likes. I'm not enhancing that with my other kids. My other kids, I want them to know their basic math, but I'm not pushing them to, what do you like doing, and then push on that. I think everyone should be well-rounded in education to some degree, but if you're good at something, let's practice it. I don't want to take someone who's good at math and say, yeah, but you know what, I want you to really push on reading. No, you still need to read, it's important. But if you're good at math, why not see where it can go? Why not? What if he becomes a brilliant rocket scientist someday? I don't know. I'm not saying he will be, but why not take the thing he's good at and work with him more on it? We don't have to be so much mathy here in the UK. As the tax is already included in item price, so no sales tax add. Sure, I don't know why America has never done that. It should just be a thing. But it is what it is. It always throws me off in a restaurant. I'm kind of like, and I think you don't do that in UK either, do you? Is the sales tax added? I don't remember. But I'm always kind of like, how much is something? And then there's tax and then tip. Yeah, life is a big thing. How far was the longest walk you've taken? I think I've walked almost 40,000 steps. Or was it 50? I don't remember. 50,000. That's not that much, I guess, for some people. But I don't take that long of walks. Did it feel like fall when you were in Germany? It did feel like fall when I was in Germany, and that was very, very nice. All right, folks, well, I'm going to end this here. I went a little bit longer because I started a little bit later. This is not the last live thing today. I'll be back in an hour and 45 minutes with At the Table with Eric. So we'll see you guys then. But until next time, I'm Tom Vasel, and you've been watching Live Q&A on the Dice Tower. We have more stuff coming. See you then.